handlebar tape. It's not as simple as it may actually seem from the outset. And for many people out there, they do in fact cast it aside or they're not that bothered about it. But let's not forget, it's one of the 3 main contact points between you and your bike. And while shopping around for new bar tape, you could well be faced with hundreds of different possible combinations. Of course, you have the material of the tape, you've got the texture, the amount of padding, and not to mention the all-important colour choice. So today, let's take a look at some of the different versions and varieties available out there. Luckily, our friends at Fizik have just launched a brand new range, so we can go and have a look to see what might suit your needs the best. Now, it may not be obvious to everybody out there the reason why we actually use handlebar tape. First reason is for grip. So imagine trying to hold on to some aluminium or carbon bars without handlebar tape on, and yeah, your grip is not going to be very good at all, especially once you start to get a little bit sweaty or riding over rough terrain. And the other reason, which is probably the most obvious, is actually for extra comfort when you're putting in those miles and kilometres all year round. Now, walking into a bike shop is probably one of the most exciting things for a cyclist. But when you go over and you check out that different type of handlebar tape on the wall, quite often it's daunting, to be honest, because you don't know what you should be looking for. And whilst you normally would leave with some handlebar tape, quite often you do wonder in the back of your mind, is it really what you wanted? So let's have a look then at this range from Fizik and see what you should be looking for depending on your riding needs. Now, the appearance of handlebar tape for some people is the most important thing to consider when buying a new roll of bar tape. But for others, they don't really care what it looks like, which kind of pains me really, because I always think handlebar tape on a bike makes the big difference quite often. Now, if you've got yourself a real classic looking bike, then you're going to need some of this classic looking tape. This is the Tempo tape from Fizik. So this adds, well, I think personally, a little bit of class to an old retro bike, or if you're looking for a traditional look on your modern race bike even for that matter, wrap it in some of this. I mean, look at it, tiny little perforated holes. This is the sort of tape that riders were using, say 20, 25 years ago, before that spongy cork tape really started to take off. Personally, it's my favourite. I still wrap my bars in this. I totally and utterly love it. On the flip side then, from that Tempo tape, we've got this. This is brand new, this is called the Terra tape. So, as you can see, it's pretty different. It's smooth for a start. It hasn't got any of those perforation holes where dirt's gonna hang around. And as it is designed for off-road riding, such as cyclocross, it should clean up a little bit easier too. Next up, we've got something which is pretty modern looking in its appearance, not just by the colour of it, but actually in the texture of it. So you can see here, you've got a load of grooves running along the length of the tape, and I think that could come in handy for what we're going to come on to next, comfort. First up then, on this Microtex Classic, you can see it's just 2mm thick. So it's not going to give you loads and loads of comfort or padding when riding along, but it is going to give you really great control over your handlebars because you can feel everything that's going through it. But for those of you who think maybe that's a little bit too thin, I mean, I've used that for about 20 years now. I think it's absolutely spot on. That's my own personal choice though. You could get something like this. So it has exactly the same texture and look about it, but it is 1mm thicker. But how have they done that? Well, they've added a mid layer of foam here in the centre of the bar tape. And when you actually wrap that on your bars, it does transform the feel significantly. 1mm, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're holding onto your handlebars, it does make the world of difference, I find. Then pick up another roll of tape, and this one, subnamed Soft, has a slightly different feel to it actually there. So the comfort is going to vary just very, very slightly. This one has a more velvety appearance to it. Quite premium and posh really to the touch there. I quite like that. Now this same methodology can be applied to probably most different variants of handlebar tape out there. So the Vento, for example, that comes in different thicknesses. And also these ridges too. For some people, they're going to find that quite comfortable on their hands, especially for those of you who don't like using gloves. Now, the tape itself has a kind of rubbery type feel to it. So when your hands start to sweat or the rain starts pouring down, the grip or stickiness between you and the handlebar tape is only going to improve, something which a lot of riders out there absolutely love. I did say at the start there were literally hundreds of different combinations, didn't I? And I've not let you down so far. So here's another one into the mix. The type of adhesive that your handlebar tape applies with. So on this Terra tape, we've got ourselves in here a layer of gel, which is going to help you with comfort, but also that layer of gel isn't quite as sticky as what you'd find on some types of bar tape out there. So you could remove and refit it without the chance of tearing your bar tape, as well as leaving that sticky residue behind. So you could probably even put this in the washing machine to clean it up. Well, maybe not. Now, if you're happy and satisfied with your current bar tape, I've got a little tip for you though before you go rushing into that shop. Take a length of that current bar tape with you. That way you can be sure you're going to get as close to it as possible from the display. Because quite often we go into a shop and we think, oh, that's exactly the same bar tape as I've got. When in actual fact, it's not. And that's only accompanied with an embarrassing return to the shop for an exchange for the correct tape. Now, if after all of this you're still not sure, go into the shop and have a feel around of different handlebars on bikes on display and think to yourself, is this what I want to be riding along with? If it is, go over, grab that helpful assistant and say, shopkeeper, this is the tape I'd like, and they'll find you something from their display, I'm pretty sure. Now finally, we've got the all-important decision of colour. Now, here at GCN, we do in fact joke around saying that your bar tape should match your saddle and vice versa, when in actual fact it doesn't matter, because your handlebar tape can be a really great way of expressing yourself on your bike. Now, I hope that this has been of great use to you and you can go out there now and get yourself the most comfortable or most minimalistic maybe bar tape that you desire. Now, remember as well to like and share this video with your friends, give it a big thumbs up, share it with someone who needs some new bar tape. We've all got a friend of ours who has some really grubby stuff on their bike. Remember as well to check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, where we have a whole heap of different products for you. And now for a video on how to wrap your handlebar tape, click just down here.